Hi everyone, Miss Elizabeth with Making Music Matters. Today we're going to learn an old melody. That's actually the title. It's a traditional song and it might actually sound familiar to you. Before we start learning a new song, I always like to break it down into smaller parts. The rhythm, the notes, and understanding what special things need to be done for this song. So the first thing is noticing that we use notes that are on the D string and the A string. So remember that our open D sits just below the staff. And walking up in steps, we have open, 1, 2, 3, or D, E, F sharp, and G. So once we get to this G, we need to switch to the A string. So our A is in the second space of the staff. And the notes on the A string walk up in steps, A, B, C sharp, D. And again, that's open, 1, 2, and 3. So, now that we know which two strings we're going to be playing on, let's take a look at some of the rhythms. It's not all that tricky. It's mostly quarter notes, half notes, and a couple of eighth notes. So we can assume that it's going to be not a super fast song, so that we've got enough time to really beautifully hold the half notes, the quarter notes, and so that the eighth notes don't feel rushed. Okay, so a few more things before we get into playing. Let's talk about this very beginning. Usually we see some numbers at the beginning of a piece. Oftentimes it's 4/4. This is called our time signature, and it helps us count the beat and keep it steady and stay together. In this case though, the numbers are 3/4. The top number tells us how many beats are in a measure, and the bottom note tells us what type of note gets the beat. So in this case, there are going to be 3 beats in a measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. So we're still counting nice and steady, but now for each measure, there are only 3 beats in a measure. Now, there's just a few symbols here that I want to talk about as well. The first one is over the first note. That is called an upbow. And this symbol shows us that our bow should be going in the upbow direction. We play downbows and upbows all the time without even realizing it, but in this piece, it asks us to do very specific bowings. So, an upbow is when this part of your bow, the tip, is going up towards the ceiling and your elbow is closing. The very next note has another symbol, and this symbol is the opposite. It's the downbow. So the downbow is when this part of our bow, or the frog, is moving down towards the ground and your elbow opens to make that happen. So downbow and upbow. This song is very unique because it starts with something called a pick up. So we're leading into the first measure. So we're actually going to start on an upbow. So I would love to try just starting on an upbow a few times. So placing your bow on the D string at the tip and just playing up, down. Let's try that together. 1, 2. Great. Let's try that again. Make sure that your bow is nice and flat on the string before you start. 1, 2. Great. There's one more thing to talk about before we start learning the notes of this song. There's one more symbol that perhaps you see in the music. And that's this curved line. connecting two different notes. This is called a slur, and a slur connects two different notes in the same bow. So in this case, our bow is going down, but we're playing both E and D in that time. So let me show you. So I have my first finger ready on the D string and my bow ready to play down bow. And the E and the D are going to happen in that down bow. So I'm going to lift my finger while my bow is still moving down. Let's try that together. 1, 2. We can also come up with some exercises to practice our slurs. So one way to do that would be going up our scale using slurs. So we could do open 1, 2, 3, and then switch to the A string. Open 1, 2, 3. Let's try that together. Going up our scale, D major scale. 1, 2, ready, play. Now let's go back down, starting on third finger on the A string. 1, 2, ready, play. You can even come up with your own exercises. I like to call it noodling. So you can go back and forth between different fingers, but making sure that you're playing two notes when your bow is going one direction. So, I think we are now ready to start learning the notes of old melody. Let me play it through once for you before we start diving in. Remember, it starts on an up bow. 1, 2. So, I would like to start by learning the notes of the end first. So, the 1, D, 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 just so we practice our slur and make sure that we have a nice steady tempo. So 1, 2, 3. Great. I hope that slur is starting to become easier for you. And when you start a new song, it's really okay to take out the slurs at first. So if you want to go through this and just learn the letter names and the notes and the finger numbers without the slurs, that's a great way to start. And then you can build the slur in and make sure that you're connecting the two notes together in one bow. So let's start from the beginning. D, D, 2, A, 3, 1. 1, D, D, D. And let's try that slur because we just tried it at the end. So I think it might be successful. So make sure that when you cross your bow to the A string, that you lower your elevator elbow. And in this case, we don't even have to put any fingers on the A string yet. So we're just turning back around like we do in our scale. One, two, D, D, 2, A, 3, 1, 1. Great. Did you remember to start up bow? Let's try it again. Place your bow at the tip so that you're ready to move your bow up. 1, 2. Great. The next phrase is the same. D, D, 2, A. But now it changes. So it started out the same. Then we put down all 3 fingers like we were practicing before. And then 2, A, A, A. So make sure that 2 and 1 both pop off together. So let's isolate that and practice that slur by itself. The 2A or C sharp A. Just a few times. 1, 2, 3. Great, I think now we're ready to play this phrase. So remember, the phrase starts with an up bow still. So let's place our bow at the tip of the bow, and we'll play this D before moving on to the second line. 1, 2. Great. Our next phrase doesn't have any slurs in it, but it has a few new notes. So let's just go through and make sure that we recognize all of them. A, 3, 3, 3, 2, A, and then we need to go to the D string because it's below the open A, F sharp G or 2, 3. Can we practice those 3 notes together? A, F sharp, G. And remember to pull out both of your fingers down together so that you're ready to play the F sharp. 1, 2, ready, play. So be sure to rock your bow and place both fingers on the D string for the F sharp after the open A. Let's add in the C sharp now. So it'll sound like this. So 2, A, then the D string, 2, 3. Let's try that together. 1, 2, 3. You can keep practicing that on your own if that feels tricky. But for now, let's keep moving. So let's start back here on this A. And this A is going to be an up bow also because it's the start of the phrase. So open A, up bow ready. 1, 2. Here's our only eighth notes in this song, and we're back on the D string. D, 1, 2, 2, 2, A, 3, 1, 1, D, D, D. So if there's any little spots that you feel you need to practice on your own, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'll play through it again and you can play through the whole song with me. Remember to start Upbow. 1, 2. So remember, in our new song, Old Melody today, we've talked about a couple of things before we even started playing the notes on the page. We talked about our rhythms that we find in this song, which are half notes, quarter notes, and eighth notes. We also talked about which strings the notes are on. We have notes that are on the D string in this song, so from just below the staff to the second line. And we have notes that are on the A string in this song, so the second space up to the fourth line. You might have been seeing these symbols for the first time, an upbow and a downbow. We also talked about a time signature and what that means. For this song, our time signature is 3-4. And that means that there are 3 beats in a measure and the quarter note gets the beat. The last new thing that we talked about, and that you can make up exercises on your own to practice with your scales or just noodling around, is called a slur, which is when we connect 2 different notes in the same bow. And in the music, that is notated by a curved line connecting the 2 notes. And as you can see, there's a down bow written over these 2 notes and an up bow written over the next note. So that means we would play down, up as the 3 beats in this measure. So I hope you enjoy learning this song and happy practicing.